I'm not sure if
Now,
now we're live.
now
Hey
we are.
there. Well, welcome to the Big Cap preview show. And I'm wearing the Big Cap, Gino.
Looked like
How does it look?
I was gonna say it knocked something loose up there. We weren't sure how to get things started. Those big caps are awesome, man. They've been a trend going recently. I actually asked for those as gifts, like after credit, because I think right after Christmas they started coming out, and I asked for one for my birthday, which is coming up in just a few weeks, Chappie, March birthday. So get me a big cap. You know that I like a bunch of stuff. You could get me a big hat of a million different things, and I would rock it.
Well, there's some kind of animal running above me, so I figure if it falls through the ceiling, I've got the Big Cap to take care of me. So, Gino, big day tomorrow. 12 races, noon first post. We got a pick six, a lot going on, buddy.
Mandatory payout in the pick six tomorrow. That thing is going to be huge. Probably $3 million plus in the pick six pool. 4 graded stakes races, and they're all fantastic betting races too. Deep fields, huge fields. That's sort of been a benefit of not a lot of racing recently. These are deep fields. We've had a lot of rain and a lot of cancellations over the last couple weeks. So there are horses that are ready to run all throughout the card. Great racing. The Pick'em contests are back. They're totally free to enter. Pick'em.santanita.com. Don't forget about the Coast to Coast Pick 5 that combines races from Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park. They've got the Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream Park, and they have 14 races on their card. There's also a Kentucky Derby prep at Aqueduct with the Gotham. So there's 3 big ones, another one at Turfway tomorrow. It is just a packed Saturday of racing.
Yeah, Seminar Skip, we've been dealing with a lot of cold, a lot of rain, but that's past us now. And I know you'll be out at the Great Race Place tomorrow with the big card, and a lot going on, buddy.
Lot going on. Looking forward to it. Should be a great day tomorrow. Like Gino said, great racing all over the country. Really looking forward to the Santa Anita card with the mandatory pick 6. And hopefully we could pick some winners and cash some tickets and have a great day out there. It should be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. And joining us now, Barry, the Sniper Spears. What's happening, Barry? You haven't been cold where you're at. Weather nice and warm?
I can't say that. I mean, we were Florida cold for a while, for like 2 weeks, but now we're back to normal. It's actually like summertime today. It was like high 80s today, and it was unseasonably warm. But the weather's going to cooperate down here, so the Fountain of Youth card is gonna be very, very good, as well as the card out there. So trying to get all the money.
Since last night, Barry came on my show and helped me do a full preview of the Gulfstream Stakes, and we spent about an hour and 15 minutes going over those. Then this morning, we did a show together for an hour and a half. So after this show, we'll have talked for like 4 or 5 hours out of the last 24 hours. I was like, let's just move in somewhere. Right. Might as well like save some money on bills. Like we could carpool or something, right?
Oh, it'll be so bad if we don't win anything.
I know.
Between Santa Anita's card and Gulfstream's card, we went over everything. We got to win something, right?
Got to get something.
Now we're here to tear it up, but I'll tell you one thing before we get started. The one thing I'm jealous of Barry, how did you get that guy to tweet out the Dancing Fridays, that meme this morning? Did you even know that was coming? And if anybody who follows Barry, they know what I'm talking about.
Did not know that was coming. The Zeb Ross shout out was definitely the beautiful way to wake up this morning to see that. Everybody, I mean, the response has been great, but yeah, it really took me by surprise. Somebody did it on Twitter and posted it, and I was like, oh my God, he said my name. Yeah, it was really fun.
That was great. All right, well, we're going to go over the pick 6 today, or for Saturday, and the pool is supposed to reach about $3 million. That'll be race 7 through 12. We are going to do a little bonus coverage since race 6 is the 3-year-old prep here, the San Felipe. So, Skipper, why don't we start with you with race 6, then we'll get into the pick 6 after that. Any thoughts in a 11-horse field for Derby points up for grab?
Yeah, I like number 2, National Treasure. I think that race last time in the Sham, I think it's going to do it a world of good. I think it's going to definitely move forward off that race. It's come back to work well. I think it's going to get a great trip with Pratt's horse. Got a lot of speed, and so does the other Baffert, Hijazi, with Mike Smith. I think those horses are going to be gunning for the front, and I think National Treasure is going to get a great trip, and that's who I like. I think National Treasure is going to be very, very tough.
Gino, the one thing that it's hard to figure out the Baffert / Yachtine horses is who goes to the front, who doesn't. How does the pace unfold? Between Go Rocket Ride in there, is Fort Bragg the one that goes? What are your thoughts on the race and on the pace?
Yeah, there's 5 Yachtine runners. 4 of them used to be Bafferts. One of them was initially a Yachtine runner. National Treasure, I think, is the horse to beat, as Chappie mentioned. He kind of reminds me, when you look at his running lines, of Medina Spirit. He's just not flashy, but he's like super workmanlike. He always runs a really good race. There's always like 1 or 2 horses that are more fancy than him. He kind of floats under the radar, but he keeps building up his stamina. I'm not sure if this is his spot, but I'm definitely going to like him continuing down the line. Like, as the races go longer, I think he's always going to be in there in a big fight. I don't think Hijazi really wants to sit. Like, in watching his races, I think they're going to just go with him. That'll probably mean he and Go Rocket Ride go. But I don't know if you guys have watched any of the works in the morning. They have been working him with a target, Go Rocket Ride,
Correct,
sitting behind. So it seems like they're at least trying to get him to rate
and
a
the
little
horse
bit more.
looked relaxed as well.
He did it very nicely. And I don't know if he's just a need to lead speed type. He might have just been better than that group. And that you have a horse like that, you send him to the front end. He put away a heavily favored Baffert horse who came back to win a maiden special weight next out. The horse that I like a little bit is Skinner. Skinner was a horse last year that I was sort of paying attention to because he kept running in small fields. He doesn't have a lot of early speed. And in those sprint races, he just never had a shot against horses like Cave Rock and Having a Meltdown, who are way faster than him. But he has 2 races last year that are a lot better than the running lines would look. And he actually earned pretty good figures for a horse that was like well beaten in some of those races. He encountered some trouble. He was off for a few months. He came back on February the 12th. It was a monster effort. He earned a big 95 buyer speed figure in winning that race. It was a huge step forward. They've always liked this horse. He was a $500,000 purchase. I mean, he's bred beautifully. So it wasn't a surprise to see him sort of wake up that way in a big field like this that I'm pretty confident will have at least a fair amount of speed. I think he's going to come running.
Sniper, what are you thinking here? You looking on the lines of Gino and Skipper, or are you looking somewhere else?
I'm kind of falling in line with what they're offering up here. I definitely think National Treasure is the horse to beat. Although I'm not really that high on him, even though he has nice speed figures and so on. I'm not really too sure about his prospects in this race in particular. It does actually look better for him to kind of go longer. So, if this horse can get in the money here, get some points, I think that one will be okay going forward on the Derby trail. Hijazi seems like a sprinter. I don't know why they're going to try the stretch out again. Unless it's just to set it up for National Treasure. That's what I would think. Go Rocket Ride is who I like here quite a bit. As Gino alluded to, they've been training this horse with a target to have him settle and run after a horse. And he was much better than this competition in that first race on January 29th at Santa Anita. And I think this horse is super talented. There's really not much beyond the top 3, let's say. I mean, if you include Skinner in there, who I'm not really all that high on either, although he did come back running, which was a positive thing. I think Go Rocket Ride has the most upside of anybody in this race.
I'm going to go a way that you guys probably aren't going to expect it. And I'm going to expect a big race out of Hijazi, and I'll tell you why. When Hijazi ran the first time out on August 20th, I was in the paddock standing 3 feet away from him. And I actually singled Classical Cat, who was a first-time starter for D'Amato that day.
Yeah.
And I said to the people around me, I'm like, they paid $3.5 million for that. Like, the horse did not look like much. And subsequently, the next race, Speedboat Beach broke a track record and Hijazi ran second, but still did not look very good physically. On the January 15th race, I was standing in the paddock next to Mike Pipey, who has a good eye. I don't, but when he walked by, I said, holy cow, has that horse grown up? Looked completely different. And yeah, speed the last time, but it also drew the rails sprinting. We will see tomorrow, but I think that horse is physically just completely different horse and has gotten a lot bigger, stronger, and faster. And we're going to see a whole different Hijazi tomorrow.
What trip do you want with him as someone who's going to back him? Because I kind of think he's a horse that he's kind of big. He's really big, right? From what so I don't think you want to get him in traffic or you want him behind horses that much, right? You either want him on the lead or like in the clear, kind of close up so he can just keep his motor running.
I think Fort Bragg is the one who goes and Hijazi sits off a little bit. Fort Bragg is working very well in the mornings, by the way. If you watch the workouts, worked with Faustin and Harlow Cap the last 2 times out. And I think that horse could outrun his odds. But I do not think Hijazi is going to go to the lead. We'll see. But I just like the way he's physically matured. And let's see what happens tomorrow, guys. But anyways, that's just the prelude to what we're getting at, which is now the pick 6, which starts in race 7, which is 1.125 miles on the turf. Gino, let's start with you. I'll tell you what I had trouble with. Who's going to the lead here? There's not a whole lot of speed in this race. What are your thoughts?
And that's why I like a horse who I think is either going to be on the lead or sitting right behind, and that's Tarantino, the number 5 in here, who's a nice price. This is a horse who we talk about the Fountain of Youth. A couple years ago, he was on the Fountain of Youth undercard. He ran 4th that day. This is a horse who's always had some ability. He just recently has had a tough time staying on the racetrack. Go through some of his recent running lines. They might be a little bit better overall than if you just take a quick glance. So his last start was on the synthetic. He just didn't fire. He's raced twice on the synthetic. He just doesn't like it. Like, just put a line right through it. And that was off of a couple months. So at least he kind of got a little fitness out of that race and was able to shake some of the rust off. If you go back 2 starts, he's behind Beyond Brilliant, who's really fast. That's a tough race for him, chasing Lone Speed when he's the horse that's got to chase that horse, right? When you're in that second spot. And then 3 starts back, he's behind Hong Kong Harry, who beats everybody and is going to be one of the favorites later on the card. But again, in all 3 of those races on the turf, what is he doing? Showing speed, right? He's forwardly placed in there consistently. I know I'm going to get some speed from him. And then the other race in the American, like, he's again behind Hong Kong Carry. That's not a bad effort when he's only beaten a length and a quarter. He's now going to put 2 starts together. He has a little bit of back class there too. I think with Ayuso, they're just going to get aggressive and he's going to be right up on the front end or sitting second because Dean Martini's not really that fast. You know, he can be forwardly placed, but I think Tarantino gets a good trip in here. He's a must use for me in the pick 6 to start.
And you're going to get every bit of 10 to 1 on that horse. That's for sure. Sniper, what are you thinking in this race? I think it's pretty tough race.
Yeah, a race like this always gives me fits because, you know, a lot of these horses really don't get to run this far that often. You know, there's these pace issues where you don't really know who's going to try to go for the lead. And usually a lot of the times when that happens, a bunch of them have that sort of mentality like, oh, well, nobody's going to go to the lead. So ends up being like 3 horses that kind of go for the lead. I don't anticipate that happening, but I don't think this pace is going to be as slow as you would think. And that kind of leaves everything up to the favorites here. It's hard for me to get around the 2 or 2 Carmelita's Man or the 6 Cash Equity. I'm leaning towards Cash Equity because I think that one can sit a lot closer and be closer to the pace earlier than the latter.
The race last year, right, is the one off the 1.125 miles, second level allowance race where he just sat second really nicely with Hernandez aboard. And that was right before they jumped into Graded Stakes Company. And they've been facing Graded Stakes Company since then. And now you drop back down. So I agree. That's like a must-use horse for me. Of the short prices, I think that's the one to beat.
Yeah, and quite a big jock upgrade, Skipper. I don't know if you're heading that way, but that makes a difference.
Yeah, you know, and Cash Equity was working real good going into that last San Marcos race. Obviously, the jock switch is huge. You know, you put Hernandez on. Big switch there. You know, I want to mention one horse that I think's got a shot, and it's a bomb, and it's a 3. It's Red Road. This horse, Christy Mulhall, does a good job. She's having a good meet. She does great second off the bench. This horse, 3 starts in a row, had troubled trip back in February. Still didn't get beat that much. That was his first time at Santa Anita. Got beat 6 lengths. Actually, I bet it the next time on May 6th. That was nice at a mile and 1/8 on the Santa Anita turf course. So we know it likes the distance in the track. Then the next race after that, they put it in the cinema and it had a brutal trip. Just throw that race out. Last time it looked like maybe it needed a race. Their big field, Exalted came back to win. It's won 2 in a row. Carmelita's Man and Lincoln Hawk are in here. I just think at a big bomb at 20-1, I think this horse is a use, and I'm putting it on my pick 6 for sure.
I'll tell you one horse that we didn't mention that one of these days is going to get there is Lincoln Hawk. Lincoln Hawk comes from way back, and especially if you watch that last race, I mean, he waited forever and then waited forever and waited a little bit more to finally go.
Yeah.
And Carmelita's Man got a huge jump on him, and another horse did in there as well. And finally, that horse, it's got a big turn of foot, but always
gallop out was massive too in the last race for this horse. Yeah.
Yeah. And, that was just I put bizarre race, but interesting race here. And let's move on because we got quite a few to coverage. Next race, race 8, is a maiden 40 going 6.5. Barry, what are you looking at here in this sprint race?
Yeah, this is another one that I thought might not be as speedy as it appears. And I took number 1, Trusty Rusty, to try to, on the drop, coming on the surface switch too, from 6 furlongs on turf to 6.5 on the dirt, dropping in class slightly, showing some speed in the January 21st race. I think that's going to happen again. They're going to actually have to be, they're kind of forced to go forward with this horse, and I think that's a good thing. That slight drop in class really might be the difference between a win and a loss here, and I think this horse is going to have a good trip.
Skipper,
I was just going to add on his horse. The after showing speed, both of the races on the dirt and sprints, what happened at the start of that last race, the horse right next to him had a really bad beginning, was really slow, and that impacted this horse a little bit. He just didn't get away all that quickly. He still ran pretty well, and now he's going to go third, start off the long layoff too. I think he's got a big race in him.
Are you looking anywhere else, Gino, or is that your top pick as well?
I'm using him for sure. The one that's sort of interesting to me is way to the outside, the number 12, Smooth. So this horse debuted in a much tougher race. And this is not a strong race, this maiden 40 here. And if you look at the race that Smooth comes out of, the winner, Spun Intended, came back and tried the Sham Stakes after that race. The runner-up, Harlow Cap, has since come back to win and actually tried the Risen Star, was the leader in that race, set the pace in the Risen Star. The third place finisher, Tall Boy, Pound 1, and cheers 1 to Doug O'Neill, because they took Tall Boy over to Dubai, and he won a stakes race at Dubai that was like a prep race for the UAE Derby. So that was a really strong race. Also, the fourth place finisher in that race is a horse named Tex the Legend. That horse has since come back and finished second in a maiden special weight race and earned an 89 buyer, finishing behind Skinner. Yep, right behind Skinner. The fifth place finisher is a horse named Johannes, who has come back since, won on the turf with an 88 buyer speed figure. And the sixth place finisher, Vegas Burner, just came back to finish second in a maiden special weight on the turf. That was a loaded race that Smooth debuted in and just didn't really fire that day. But this horse does have 3 winning siblings, gets a big drop down in class, and just takes another shot here and has like a steady work tab coming in. There might have been one recently missing. I think that was just a work that maybe didn't get published, but I think Smooth has a shot at a really big price. If you're spreading in this race and throwing a few in, keep in mind with the scratches now, Vinny the Coin and Magic Account were probably live horses for a lot of people that they would have been including on their tickets. So they're out.
Skipper, I know for us XBTVites that Smooth, there were no workouts because that horse has been working at San Luis Rey. Yeah. I put the big question mark because, like Gino said, drawn outside, key race coming out of a maiden special weight. Are you looking more to the outside horses or to the rail as well?
I had the 12 marked as a long shot, like Gino, for all the reasons that he said. Key race, shuffled start, dropping down in class, great post position. But I like Snap Daddy a lot in here. The first race back in January, this horse ran sneaky good. And I liked it last time. I bet it last time. It didn't run that well. You know, Van Dyke was kind of shoving it. And I don't know if it wanted to be shoved, just take hold, kind of let the horse settle, or then make a run. I love the switch to Dettori. I like the drop down in class. I think the 9's got a big shot in here. That last race wasn't so good, but Henry Q came back to win again. I think with Dettori riding it this time, I think he's going to give it a more patient ride. And coming off that maiden race, the first one, that was a really good sneaky replay that I like. So I like Snap Daddy a lot in here, but I'm definitely using the 12-2 for all the reasons like Gino said.
Yeah, I'm the rail and the outside forward. Snap Daddy is my top pick, like you said as well. And once again, I think that's a big jock switch from DVD. No offense to Frankie Dettori, who's riding superbly out here. So,
Right.
All right, let's move on to the third leg. I texted you guys earlier on this. Skipper, help me out. I have no clue in this race. I just put all at the top. I love races down the hill. Usually have strong opinions. I can't make heads or tails of this race. Somebody help me, please.
That makes two of us, buddy. I mean, I don't know which way to go here. I really don't. The one is sharp. Mullins is having a big meet. I don't like the rail coming down the hill, but this horse has won 3 in a row and been very impressive doing it. The 3 gets the trainer change and had trouble the last 3 starts coming off the break, but training good, had a good work. Empire Gal, I bet first time out from Michael McCarthy. I like the way that she won that day. Then they put her in the Angel Flight. She stumbled at the start and didn't have a shot. Then they stretched it out in the Summer Oaks and didn't run any good coming off the break. I think this horse will like the grass. She's got that high action. Honey Jar is going to be in front. I'll tell you what I don't like. I did not like the way Lady J, I know it had trouble last time, but I did not like the gallop out at all. It didn't gallop out good to me, and I'm a big person, with the gallop outs and stuff. Maybe a little too much so, but that's very important to me. I didn't like the way Lady J galloped out. Another one that I want to mention, I thought the 11 worked really good last time. First time out back in September at Del Mar, running a mile, had trouble, no room stretch, didn't run bad. And that optional 80 that was a good race, came back, maybe needed the race last time, kind of showed speed, then faltered. I think that race is going to do it a world of good. I like it breaking on the outside. And then Rose Barton, Hess is having a good meet. Frankie Dettori wins, 50% coming down the hill. So I don't know. Those are just a few that I wanted to mention. I mean,
just 8 of the 11.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Gino, I was going to ask you because Skippy mentioned I wasn't sure what to make. I think you like Pro Glory sometimes. Yeah. When you watch that race the last time out, he was in between horses and kind of had to check, but then had from the 3/8 pole home to come, to re-rally and kind of had nothing left. I didn't know what to make of that trip off the layoff.
I think that the course will just be better because that straight 6, it forces you a little bit more, right? Because we know there's not nearly as much passing. And I think because the horse was fresh, and honestly, it might have been just the way the race shaped up because on paper, there was no speed in that race. And that's exactly what happened. Tom's Beauty just got the lead from the inside and Carmen Miranda was second. They went 1-2 all the way around. There was no passing. So I think the race, like you said, I think the tactics will be different here. I'm expecting them to just sit back a little bit, make the one late run. And you mentioned, Honey Jar, who, if you look at Honey Jar and you're worried at all about a couple of those defeats, be a little bit more forgiving because keep in mind, this is a mare who's dealt with some pretty long layoffs. So when you look at, she breaks her maiden going 6.5 on the straight 6.5. Then she's third in a race on the 6. And then she's off from May of 2021 to January of 2022. So she's off for 7 months. When she comes back, she runs really well, but she's a little bit short. Then she runs again. She's beaten just a neck. But keep in mind, that race then sends her to the bench for 8 more months. So who knows if she was even 100% there. She returns again from the bench and probably needs the race. Now she's going to go third start off the long layoff. She's had some interruptions. She probably is the most fit she's ever been. She's cutting back from a mile. And if they just let her loose and let her run, I think it'll be a lot harder to pass her now. Fitter and cutting back with a little more bottom. So probably lots of 6 and 11s for me in here.
All right, Barry, nothing's helped me so far. What do you got?
Well, I'm gonna take the counterpoint or counter point of view than Gino, because I do not want any part of Honey Jar here at all.
Right.
I want no part of that horse. I've seen enough. Flames up money pretty much every time. It just lights it on fire. So I actually like the 7 horse quite a bit here, Empire Gal. I think there's some upside. Should take to the turf. Should get a good trip too. Being kind of situated in the middle of the gate there. Another horse that caught my attention is the 3, Ultimate High. I think that horse has some races, especially at this trip. The last one was kind of, it was a really weird, strange trip that horse got, and you can forgive that one. No doubt about you can forgive that one. And the previous race that she ran at 6.5 down the hill was pretty good. Just didn't get a break and got blocked a little bit. That horse has every right to win this one, getting Joe Bravo, who rides downhill pretty good too.
Yeah, I as I said, I'm not going to go into this in detail whatsoever because I'm hitting the all button. I have no clue. I will say one thing about Ultimate High. Skippy, Gino, we all watch the workouts. I didn't, bullet whatever. Doesn't matter. But the February 17th work was on XBTV, and Ultimate High worked very well. So I think that horse is fit and ready to go. So that just adds to my all. I can't do an all but one button here. So we move on. Let's go to race 10. 7 furlongs, that tricky distance, a starter allowance. Gino, back to you. What are you looking at here in the 10th?
What makes this race really intriguing is there's nobody that is like for sure going to be on the lead, but there might be like 4 horses that all could end up on the lead. Like none of them are super one-dimensional, but they're all kind of those pressers that if the race dictates it, they might go to the lead. I mean, like the 1, Synthesis, could get aggressive. The 3, Manitowish, is probably one of the like naturally most quick in this field. I wouldn't be shocked if Next Revolt is pretty close, and High Heater. But I don't know if any one of them is like gotta go. The horse who I think at this distance of 7 furlongs that should fit really well is the 4, Self-Taught. I think this will just be a much better trip for this horse, who has been a little short at 6 furlongs in the last couple races. If you'll notice, 2 starts back, was in a starter allowance at Los Al on a wet racetrack and started to get going late. Last time out, slow start, was about 10 lengths off and flew down the center of the track, widest of all. That was going 6 furlongs. That should set up pretty well in here. This is a horse who's won against $35,000 claimers at Gulfstream Park, has won a first level allowance, so has beaten tougher company if need be. And this is a horse who has won at 6.5 furlongs, has only been 7 furlongs one time. It just feels like that should be a perfect distance for their running style. The other one I think is kind of interesting, like a wake up, is the 7, Sitting on Go. This was a grade 3 winner. This horse won a graded stakes race back in like 2021. And that was the best race this horse has run since like 2021. And when you have one of those horses who has a little bit of back class and they kind of wake up, sometimes you wonder if they're going to start going back the other way. This horse was traveling well, was just behind the leaders, actually had to take up, angled in between, took up badly again, like had to take up multiple times and still won the race. So it was extremely impressive, even with trouble. Big gallop out, Skippy. If you like the gallop out, that was a massive one there. So in a spread race for me, I'm going to throw in Sitting on Go for sure. This one is one that I have a tough time with because of the pace, but for sure, 4s and 7s on my ticket.
Skipper, he mentioned you. What do you think here in race 10?
I like Zimba Warrior. This horse has been sharp since it came off that break since November. I like that Hess claimed this horse back. Obviously, he saw something about this horse, wanted it back. It's got some back class. I mean, look at back in January of 22. Affable was a good Mark Glatt horse. Elector was John Sadler. That was a speed horse that was very nice. This horse has got back class. It's sharp. I like it going from route to sprint. It's got 2 wins over the track. It's got a win at the distance. And DeSormo's been riding great. So I like Zimba Warrior. I do like the 2 long shots that Gino mentioned, Self-Taught and Sitting on Go also. The other one that I would add is, the one's just an old warrior. I mean, 18 starts at Santa Anita, 5 wins. I don't like that it, shipping in from New York. But this horse has won over the track. It likes to win. Those races in New York were good besides the toboggan. I don't like
that
the
horse
real
he lost to last time out has won 3 races in a row too. He's pretty sharp. Jake Rocks.
Right. So that would be another one that I would add on the ticket. But definitely 5, 4, and 7, and then the 1 just because of the back class.
I think also one thing about Synthesis, Barry, getting to you is that 7 furlong distance is one of those tricky ones that horses either like it or they don't. And that horse has won 3 times at 7 furlongs. I think that moves up the rail horse, Barry. I don't know if you're using that as well, but I think that's a must use just because of that fact alone.
Absolutely. I think Synthesis is almost a standout here. I mean, he's been running with better company, for the past year. All of 2022 compared to everybody else. I don't even think this horse has to bring the A game in order to beat these. I just, he can do it on the lead. He could do it off the pace, slightly off the pace. Whatever happens, I think this horse can handle it and probably will win. Next Revolt looks a little interesting, but may be a little bit too cheap here. I mean, as a second choice, I definitely would go elsewhere. Self-Taught actually kind of piqued my interest.
I'm kind of with Barry here. Once again, the rail scares me. If Synthesis is true anywhere outside, I would absolutely love Synthesis.
Right. I bet you with Vasquez they get aggressive though. He's pretty aggressive.
I think he's going to put him
from there, and I would like that horse because probably a used 2, and if they're close, that's what you'd want. You want this horse to not have to pass that many horses. I mean, you start going down through his running lines too. Jake Rocks is really sharp. Repo Rocks is really, really sharp. And then Greeley and Ben and Running Son of a Gun. Like Running Son of a Gun is in a graded stakes race, is in the Tom Fool this week, is entered and is the favorite, the morning line favorite in the Tom Fool in that race. So like Barry's absolutely right. From a class standpoint, Synthesis has faced a lot better than most of these have been facing recently.
No doubt. All right, we have 2 legs to go, and we have 2 grade 1s, so not a bad way to end it. We're going to race 11, the Kilroy Mile, and this is quite a nice race they put together. I'll start here. I think we're all going to probably agree that Hong Kong Harry is the horse to beat. A win machine, 3 for 3 at Santa Anita, been in the money all 4 times at a mile. You guys all know what I think of Air Force Red.
And they're going to get aggressive with him this time. They're not going to sit back because it didn't really work as well. He ran fine, but he would have won that race if he was on the lead versus sitting. He just gets into a much better gallop. And there's nobody that's really close to as quick as he is if they just get aggressive.
Right. Although the only thing about that is the fact that D'Amato holds a lot of the cards here because he's got 4 horses in the race.
Yeah.
And Master of Foxhounds adds the blinkers, so he could wreak havoc on the pace depending on what Air Force Red does and what he does, who goes to the lead, who doesn't.
I think you could see it. I think if they were both let loose, I don't think he's as fast or even close to as fast early as Air Force Red is. Like if they were both.
I think if Master Foxhounds decides to send, Air Force Red might win the battle and lose the war.
This is the classiest field that he's ever faced for sure. Yeah. Air Force Red, no doubt about it.
My price horse is De Jour, and that horse, first of all, it's amazing. I was talking about this last night on a different show that, first of all, we're talking about a horse I love in Air Force Red that I've singled 3 times at double-digit prices. Phil D'Amato, who wins everything on the turf out here. And then I'm going to play a horse that's Bob Baffert on the turf and not on the dirt. But that horse, since its debut, you think about that, this horse started out basically as a turf horse right off the bat. It's got a massive turn of foot. got hurt as a 3-year-old, came back in the Thunder Road. That horse exploded the last time out. I think they've given it enough time off to that it doesn't regress. Was a first-time gelding the last time out. I love the fact that Dettori ends up here, and I love the 10-1 here. And so for gambling purposes, I'll take the price at 10-1. Skip, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't think they could beat Hong Kong Harry. I mean, I've been so impressed with this one. You know, the only time it lost, it was a 1:08 at Del Mar. It was putting ball checked early. That's when Masterpiece ran through the TV screen that day, Michael McCarthy's horse. I went back and watched these last couple of races, and just this horse just has that fight in it. It's a fighter. It wants to win. It knows where that wire is. And I love the workout pattern. D'Amato's got this horse ready to go. You know, I don't like the price 9-5, but I just think he's the best horse, and I'm just going to take a shot and single here. Now, in my pick 5 or pick 4, I'll probably spread against it. I think De Jure's huge. I love the jock switch. You know that. I saw everything that you saw last time. That was a monster race. Unfortunately, you had Earl's Rock that day. I needed De Jure, and it just killed me at the top of the lane. Like it was full of run, and Rispoli didn't know what to do and yanked its head and got it to the outside and then exploded late. But then just another gambling story of mine, but losing my head. No.
That's a whole other show. We'll go on next. Gambling beats from the 4 idiots. No.
But on the pick 6, I'm going to single Hong Kong Harry, and maybe on a couple of my pick 5 tickets. But the ones that I do, use a couple of horses, De Jure is definitely going to be one of them.
Well, Barry, what are your thoughts here? Because Hong Kong Harry in this pick 6 sequence is going to be the lowest price and most people singles. So do you single here, or are you spreading? I think Hong Kong Harry is going to be 4-5 even money.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Barry?
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Du Jour can upset the apple cart here, but Hong Kong Harry's tough. He's really going to be tough to beat. And another horse that kind of caught my attention was Royal Ship.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention.
And it's only because this horse has the potential to do something really nice, especially running on the grass where the form doesn't look all that great, because you can't really see it unless you have like his full record. But he ran pretty well on the turf before kind of transitioning over into the dirt and winning a couple of races. But he's really a question mark, but I wouldn't want anything less than his morning line.
Yeah, I think he's 5-1 plus, right?
Yeah,
6-1. 6-1.
Yeah,
Like
6-1. Yeah, 5-1 is probably the limit. If he's getting knocked down below that, I'd really have to question why.
Yeah, with him, he was 5th in this race in 2021. He was only beaten a length in the kill row behind Hit the Road, Smooth Like Straight, Count Again. That was a good group. When he came into the U.S., he had come in as a turf horse. He only had one dirt race when he came in. And so he debuted in the Del Mar Mile. He ran 3rd behind Mo Forza. He came back again in the City of Hope Mile, ran a little bit better than it might look on paper. He was behind Mo Forza again. They took one shot on the dirt in the Native Diver, and then he was off the bench for a few months, came back. They ran into kill row, and he was only beaten a length. And then following that, they tried the dirt. He won the Californian, and then they just kept running on the dirt. He won, a couple graded stakes races. He won the San Diego really nicely. And then how can you really hold against him the last 2 races when he got absolutely crushed by Flightline, who everybody got crushed by Flightline, and then he was well defeated in a race that just sent him to the bench. So just put a line right through that and say that was the race that sent him to the bench. He's got some turf form. He's got some class. We know that. They put the blinkers on. He's kind of interesting to me in here.
Yeah, he's the one I wrote mystery horse because we've seen this before a little bit differently, where a horse with a lot of class goes into turf race and you're like, he's facing a lot of really good turf horses. This is tough. But this is one, like you said, you go back, this horse has won 5 of his 9 turf races. So he's got turf form for sure. So he's kind of an interesting, but he is 7 now off of a layoff and they had blinkers.
Right.
You don't know what to do. And for Skip, just to let you know, I do a tip sheet on big days, and I did put Hong Kong Harry on top. Just my gambling money is going to go towards Du Jour. Probably the most likely winner, but you know how,
I got you, buddy.
right? All right. Let's move on to the 12th and final, and this is the Santa Anita Handicap presented by Yamava Resort. They call this the Big Cap. I'm going to put on the Big Cap, Big Cap.
God, that's a beautiful looking
This
hat.
is going to go to the winning jockey, by the way. Dave
Well, you
Weaver.
know what it looks like? It looks like you got a big head of hair. It looks like you got like an afro that you got the hat on top of it. So Chappie, I'm picturing you with hair now.
I might wear this around for a while. I like it.
Yeah, there you go.
Simon Bray and Dave Weaver were wearing this on the set today. They're having a blast with it. I might tweet that out later. But anyways, all right, Gino, this is a very, very good race, and it's amazing that the two biggest races of the day, we've got 11 horses in each. What a terrific way to end the card. Which way are you leaning in the Big Cap?
Yeah, I got a price in here. I think that because it's a mile and a quarter, I think there'll be a fair amount of pace from a lot of these horses that don't go that far. They'll probably just be a little closer up. Hopper's going to go. Defunded's going to go. Stiletto Boy wants to be close. Parnelli wants to be close. And I think any combinations of them, I don't think Newgrange wants to be too far. I like the one in here. There Goes Harvard quite a bit. This is a horse who I think is going to come into this race with a massive effort, massive race on deck. So last year he got really, really good. He was a horse who kind of could bounce back and forth from turf and dirt, sort of like what we were talking about with Royal Ship. Because what's funny, this is a horse who actually has defeated really classy horses. He was behind. We see Royal Ship in the running lines a couple starts back. He defeated Royal Ship, though. He defeated Defunded, who is probably going to be the favorite in this race. Last year, right on the square. And I don't know if Defunded is a mile and a quarter horse. He got a perfect trip in the Pegasus. Like, he was sitting second, just behind the leader, Stiletto Boy, and nobody passed in that race at all. And Art Collector went by him. And that was it. Like, he got the perfect trip on a track where there was no passing. There Goes Harvard was off from the San Diego of last year to this year in the Thunder Road. And in the Thunder Road, he was 3 deep, wide, chasing what was a pretty fast early pace there. And at the top of the lane, he was still in the mix. And then he faded late. He was tired, as he should be. He's now going to go second start off the bench. He gets back to the dirt. We know he can win at a mile and a quarter over this track. And we know he can beat a horse who's going to be the favorite in this race. He's probably going to be 8-1 plus. He sits and saves ground from the rail. And even from a trip, he can sit really close, but look at how he won the Gold Cup. He got shuffled way back early on in that race. He was last. He was about 7 lengths out of it in a small field. So he can win in different ways. I think it's a really good spot for a big race from There Goes Harvard.
I actually picked that horse third. And another interesting point is Michael McCarthy, a good friend of Skip's. We know he's a damn good trainer. He prepped on the turf last year before winning the Gold Cup.
Yep.
Then he preps on the turf now to go back to the dirt, which is an interesting move. The turf to dirt move there. But I'm going to present to you guys real quick a crazy pace scenario, and then you tell me I'm crazy, and then I'll move on to Skip and Barry. All right. So Hopper, what I think Hopper has a chance to be lone speed here, and I'll explain why. The other speed on paper is Stiletto Boy. Stiletto Boy, to me, Kent DeSormo is not an aggressive rider early at all. So now, if Stiletto Boy does not go, the other horses are also Bafferts with the speed. Defunded sits off. Hopper might clear early, is improving, second off of a layoff, like Santa Anita. And if you watch workouts, his last workout was with Defunded, and he worked a little bit better than Defunded. And we've all been on here a million times. Defunded is one of the best workhorses in the morning. How many times were we on that horse?
Before he started winning, I know.
Yeah. I think Hopper has a chance to hop up with the blinkers on and clear. I might be crazy. He's going to go 46 and change and run 8. But at 8-1,
No,
Just
I like
that-
you played it out. There's a version of that happening, right? There's versions of the race run where that happens, and he will probably be a price
Yeah.
that rewards you for that. So
Right.
I could see that happening. Absolutely. Like, and
Yeah.
you mentioned like Victor Espinoza's on Parnelli. He's not really a send rider either. That horse has a little bit of speed, but maybe he sits a little bit. Stiletto Boy, maybe they sit a little bit. And like you said, if the two Baffords if the Baffert horses don't want to go after each other early, I think Scarlet Fusion is out also, right? Did I see that? That Scarlet Fusion was scratched or was going to be scratched? I want to confirm on that. And that would even eliminate another pace possibility
sure.
for a
Okay.
horse with Maldonado. I'll check on that.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, just to let you know, I actually put Newgrange on top, Hopper in second, and there goes Harvard in third. But Skipper, what are your thoughts here? And I know I'm wacko.
No, you're not, buddy. If you're wacko, I'm wacko because I love Hopper. I do. I love the blinkers going back on. I like it going to Money Mike Smith. I think he's going to just be real aggressive out of the gate. He's going to get this horse in the front. And I think this horse is going to go wire to wire. I love that last race. I bet a lot of money on it that last race. It got a little tired late. I thought I was counting my money at the top of the stretch because Newgrange was shoving and all in, and Hopper's just sitting there with Maldonado. And I was worried about Parnelli. I wasn't worried about Newgrange and Grange. And anyways, got a little tired late, but this horse galloped out like 5 in front, maybe 8 in front after. I think that race is going to do it a world of good. I know I've said that a few times. I love that last work on the 18th. I love the blinkers going back on. And the distance, I don't think will be a problem. I think everybody's going to be in chase mode going after Hopper, and I think Hopper's going wire to wire.
All right, Barry, we got Skipper. Go ahead, Skip.
That horse is scratched too. Scarlet Fusion.
Okay.
It is scratched. I did want to mention
Hopper Train, buddy. What about you? Are you with or against us like Gino?
I am against. Although, there like Gino was saying, there are versions of this race where Hopper just shakes away from everybody and skips home easily. But I just don't think it's going to happen. The horse I ended up liking here is Warrant, and it's because of the pattern. They did this last year. Ran at the fairgrounds on January 22nd. Grade 3, ran okay. First off the bench.
It wasn't even like a monster speed figure that day either,
Nope.
right? It wasn't like super flashy either.
Nope. And then shipped out here or out to Santa Anita and ran a huge race to narrowly get beat by Express Train. And they're kind of doing the same thing this year. Race off the bench from July to January 26th. Won that race, got a 90 buyer. Now going back for the big cap, and I think this horse is going to be ready to go. I love the workout pattern. Also, steady 7 days, very nice, fast work, steady. That's what we want to see.
And Brad Cox and Flavia Pratt only hit at 40% together, so that's not too shabby. All right, gentlemen, real quick. Any best bets of the day? Single, Skip, or you're sticking with Hong Kong Harry in the sequence?
Yeah, but at that price, that's not going to be one that's going to be my best bet. I will say this: I really like in the 5th race in the Buena Vista. I didn't like the ride at all on School Dance last time. It was sitting out there 3 or 4 ride all the way around and just had no kick. I think it's going to get a different ride with Vasquez today or tomorrow. And I like that horse. And I think we'll get every bit of 4-1 because everybody's going to see that Quattrell, Closing Remarks, they all beat this horse. I just hope it gets a different ride. I love the mile distance for this horse, but I just want him to kind of take hold and get in, save ground, get towards the rail. I don't care. You'll find a spot. This horse has got a big stride on her, and I like School Dance a lot.
Skip likes School Dance. Gino, go anywhere you like. Best bet, a long shot, anything in the sequence or not in the sequence?
Yeah, I mean, probably for me in the end with the one, There Goes Harvard, I think is going to run a really, really big race there. I expect that one to be around late. So I'll definitely be using in all the exotics to close things out.
Barry?
Synthesis in the 10th. Single in the pick 6.
I like it.
Let's go.
And I'm going to take I'm going to take my shots either with Hopper, but I'm really expecting bigger things out of Hijazi from what I've seen just physically. And I'm not the best in the paddock, but that horse kind of stood out to me. So tomorrow will be the day. All right, gentlemen, thanks so much. Tomorrow, nice warm weather, sunny day, first post noon. We'll see everybody out there.
Good luck,
Appreciate it, guys.
everyone.
Good luck.
All right.
Take care, guys. Good luck tomorrow.